I'm just in the studio for a couple of minutes doing a little bit of tidy up because boy does it need it. And I thought I would show you this watercolour journal which I've been sent by Lightwish. That's the wrapper, there's the journal. I want to show you what it's like inside, what quality the paper is and how paints behave on the surface. My name's Liz Chaderton. I'm a watercolour artist based in Berkshire. Every week I share tips and tricks that I wish I'd known about ages ago. I also share art materials, the unusual, the really good value for money, the ones I particularly like, so that you can decide whether they're right for you. This week it's the Lightwish Watercolour Journal. Looking for a perfect little watercolour journal for a holiday or just to experiment in or urban sketching? Well, it's something that we all spend time looking for. So when Lightwish asked me whether I fancied having a look at their journal, I said, oh yes please, that'd be great. It is just under A5 in size, so the dimensions 7.6 by 5.1 inches or 195 millimeters by 130. It's pure cotton paper and it's a cold pressed surface, or is it? Let's have a look inside. Oh, I should say it's 300 grams per square metre or £140. I've already started using it and having a try and I really like it. I can get rid of that label. So we start off with a cover sheet. It's got 20 pages and because it is £140 you can use both sides. This was just a quick watercolour with pastel pencils on top of a dahlia. I'd been given a lovely bunch of dahlias, so this is sort of sea holly that I was doing. And you can see, despite having used quite a lot of water, say on this one, I could really comfortably paint on the other side. I really like the fact that it is a landscape book and it does stay flat. It's because it's sewn, it opens fully up so you can work across that fold very easily. On this page I was just swatching out some of their colours. They very kindly sent this 48 tin of artist quality watercolours and I was trying those out. Paper quality and it is really nice. Now I said, oh, it's cold press because hey, that's what the label says, but actually each side is slightly different. That this is, and it's always hard to pick up texture on white paper, but this side is cold press, definitely got some texture to it, but the reverse side is not quite hot press but is a lot smoother. So you have a smooth and a rough side on each of your spreads, which may or may not be a problem for you if you do want to work across the fold. Each page is perforated, and again I hope you can see that, so you could rip things out. I personally don't particularly like that because I tend to use my journals for travel, urban sketching, things like that. I want to keep them together and keep them strong. When I did this piece right across the fold, that perforation didn't get in the way. It's covered in this sort of faux leather stuff, but that does look like it's pretty substantial. It has got a ribbon, which is always nice. I'm not sure I'm very keen on this brown as a colour. It has an elastic closure, which I really like. And what fills my little heart with joy is at the back, it has got a really nice ample pocket for keeping those things in that you pick up along the way. So I think this would make a lovely travel journal, because when I am on holiday, I keep receipts and tickets and ephemera, bits and bobs, and that is such a capacious pocket that I would be very happy with that, and very few journals seem to have a decent sized pocket in them. And it's not cheap, but this is a quality product. UK it is £17.99 and in the US, lucky old you, I believe it is $14.99. So certainly in the US I think that's a very affordable, nice journal for a special trip. Keep all your colour swatches in or whatever you're planning to do. Just for a little bit of fun, do a little painting over this side. At the moment I'm quite enjoying taping off the edges of my little sketches. It makes it all a little sort of neater and sort of focuses your eye on the image of what you're doing. So just taping off the edges, purely optional. I did this multicoloured sort of misty tree to swatch out some of those Lightwish paints, and of course they work beautifully on the paper because they're designed to go together. So to test it out, I thought I would use these Japanese colours, and they are shadow blacks and I really like them. I'm just going to create a sort of wet area here, a misty wet area. Let's just do some little sort of, I don't know, pine tree type things. So it's a nice way of testing wet on dry and wet on wet, and you can see how the paint travels through the paper, the wet paper, which is rather lovely. This idea for swatching from an artist on Instagram called Colby Bloom. She may be on YouTube as well, so I'll have to check that out, put a link. And I thought, oh, that is a really nice idea. Rather than just sort of wetting the paper and blobbing in colour, why don't we do a bit of wet on dry, wet in wet, and see how that goes. So here, so I wet the bottom, I've put the central sort of line of the fir tree or whatever they are, and then I'm just putting the side branches in and letting it all fade and mix down the bottom to give the impression of pine trees coming out of a misty forest. Make it look more natural. Do vary the height and the spacing of your trees and encourage some of that water to flow. The brush I'm using is actually one that came with the Lightwish watercolours, and it's delightful. It comes to a beautiful point. I would say it's about size 10. It hasn't got a size on it, but it's really nice. The colours in this set are very, very muted. I think they've got lots of, well, charcoal in them. It's quite hard to find impossible to find pigment information, unfortunately. I have looked, and the website is all in Japanese, and I have to say my Japanese is not brilliant, bizarrely enough. My favourite out of this set is the reddish black. So I'm going to go back to that over here. It's just such a nice colour. So I've got all those blobs from when I was working before. Let's put some. And this paper really does let the water flow and seems to hold a lot of water because it is a cotton paper. A bit of fun. Let's sprinkle in some salt. We'll let that dry and see what it looks like when I've taken the tape off. It's dry and we can just brush off the salt, remove the tape. Yeah, I know it's spoilt by the fact that I've got all the splatter from over there, but it just shows you how nice this paper is. I put loads of water on there, and there's a tiny bit of cockling on the paper, but nothing that would make it impossible to use the back side of it. So if you're looking for a very sweet little watercolour journal with a bit of variation of texture, I really like this one.